What is up, you guys? Welcome back to Me TV Reviews. I am your host, Mo, and tonight, y'all, we're doing something new. And I can't believe I'm actually doing this show before I did the Garden Society show, but here we are. Okay, so tonight we are going to be discussing 9 bodies in a Mexican morgue. Y'all, this one is on MGM Plus. If you have other ways of watching it, do so, because I think this one is probably going to be pretty good. Okay, we'll see what happens. So, without further ado, okay, so it's 6 episodes, y'all. I think it's going to be a limited series. Okay. But I think it's going to be good. So let's go ahead, get into the synopsis real quick, and then we're going to get right into the episode. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place today. This is season 1, episode 1, titled Dead Reckoning. Okay. All right. So the synopsis for this one is 9 people survive a plane crash into the Mexican jungle, but they don't know that a murderer lurks in their midst. 9 days later, their bodies are recovered by the Mexican army. One of the passengers is missing, but who? Okay, y'all, so I'm gonna go ahead and give y'all a disclaimer. I watched the show while I was at work. But I watched it a couple of times, okay? So, because they go back and forth sometimes with the translation, so I had to pay attention when they were speaking Spanish because I'm not fluent, okay? I know a little bit, but I don't know enough. So I had to rewind a couple of times, y'all. So I think I got most of it down, but I just want to let you know that I took very minimal notes. Okay, I'm just going to give y'all vibes for this one. So we open up the episode with people watching a prison from afar, right? It's a couple. Well, it's not a couple. It's a guy and a girl. I don't know if they're together or not. So they see these trucks roll up to, it looks like a prison. And she's telling him to get out the car to go look at this other car, right? And she was talking something about the engine and looking there. I wasn't really paying attention to that, but just know that they far away. She has to use binoculars to see what's going on, right? So they're watching them pull up, and as they're doing so, 2 officers are discussing why these bodies were even brought there in the first place, because I think he said somebody wanted to hide the fact that 9 people done popped up dead under suspicious circumstances. Okay. Either way, wherever the bodies were supposed to go, they didn't want them to go there because it was going to cause some trouble. It was going to cause a little bit of friction. So that's why they took them there. And I believe that they were closer as well. Okay. So it just made it easier. So now we got 9 bodies in this morgue. Now let's go back to see how we got there in the first place. So we go aboard this plane, and the pilot, which I'm going to go ahead and give y'all some of the names so we won't just be going back and forth. The pilot's name is Octavio. Now, Octavio is scrambling to figure out what to do because the GPS done failed, y'all. That's the worst place to be. The GPS done failed. They finna run out of gas, and they're literally in the middle of nowhere in the forest. So he pulls out his phone to leave a message for his lady. He's telling her, how much he loved her and this, that, and the third. Now, in the main part of the plane, because they have no clue what's happening in the cockpit, in the main part of the plane, this girl named Amy, this lady named Amy is looking out the window, and she's hella nervous. She's anxious because we've been up in the air a lot longer than what we supposed to have been. We've been flying for like 4 hours, bro. This trip was not supposed to be this long. So she's asking the flight attendant, the stewardess, hey, can you go talk to the pilot and see what's what? Are we lost or something? Because, I mean, we've been flying for a really long time. We were supposed to land like a couple hours ago. And so her husband, Dan, is trying to reassure her, that everything's going to be okay. She just got to calm down. And ain't no calming down, Amy. And honestly, she asking all the right questions. Okay, but the stewardess was like, okay, let me go ahead and finish doing what I'm doing. Let me make sure y'all straight, and then I'll go ask him. She didn't even get the chance to do that because guess what? This is when everything goes silent and the plane just starts to descend into the forest. And then out of nowhere, y'all, the propellers just stop and they drop. Like they fall out of the sky. The sky is falling. Y'all, the plane is dropping. Worse than a roller coaster. Okay? Don't want to be on this plane. They ended up crashing 600 miles away from civilization. I think their destination was Guatemala. Okay? But they are a long way from there. Now, I love the fact that with each episode, we get the little mini stick figures going across the screen, and they're gonna slowly but surely start redding them out like they're dying off. And I feel like I heard a ant. That's not funny. I shouldn't laugh. So anyway, one is down, right? Because once they crash, y'all, the stewardess has died. Okay, she got contorted all types of ways because she was still like in the aisle trying to do her thing when this plane crashed. And so she took the brunt of it. Now, everyone hurries to get off the plane. We got a guy named Zach who goes back to free the pilot because he had got trapped by a tree limb. Okay, Carlos was stuck. Like, if they wouldn't have got him out of there in time, and had they not, a little baby fire had started. And so Sonia, one of the other passengers, she went to go grab the fire extinguisher and she put the fire out. But just to be safe, let's get everybody off this plane. So Zach went back to go free Octavio. And this other guy named Carlos, before Sonia had put that fire out, y'all, he ran back on the plane to go get his suitcase. And everybody was like, bro, was that really that important that you go get that suitcase? Sonya was like, what do you have in there that you're willing to risk your life for? He was like, stuff, girl, duh. Quit asking me questions. I don't know you like that. So, as I mentioned, y'all, the stewardess didn't make it. We don't even know her name. Octavio is seriously hurt, but for now, he's alive. So they try to get the story about what happened, why they crashed. He's in terrible pain, immense pain. So he ain't thinking about that right now. And not only that, but he also only speaks Spanish. Now, I think one of them is able to speak a little bit of Spanish, and we find out what his name is at that point in time. But right now, he ain't got time to be trying to give no account to y'all about what was happening and why the plane fell. Just know that we dropped out the sky. So Zach recognizes that Kevin comes from this medical background based off the terminology that he was using to describe the stewardess and how she died. She died from a broken neck, but he said it was a cervical fracture. I knew what he meant because I work in the medical field, but to the average person, I'm like, what is that? That's probably a bone somewhere. Yeah. So they told him to basically fess up, and he was like, okay, yeah, you got me. Jigs up. I'm a doctor, or at least I used to be. And so that was like, okay, well, since you a doctor, can't you help Octavio, whatever's going on, can't you remedy that? And he was like, no, I can't, because I don't have the necessary resources that I need to try to save his life. So basically he'd rather just watch him thrive in pain than to try to figure out this problem. Now, he did mention that he had a tension pneumothorax, which could turn deadly, okay? And it's basically where air is collecting in spaces where it shouldn't collect in the body, okay? And so eventually that ends up pushing all of the other organs to the other side, which causes collapse, lungs, and it can cause cardiac issues. You can end up dying from it, okay, if it's not resolved soon enough. Now, if you got a little baby pneumothorax, you just you just stick a needle on the side of it. Yeah, I'm having a brain fart. And it'll slowly release that air out of those spaces where it's not supposed to be. Before a tension pneumothorax, I think you have to do a thoracotomy. Okay. The way that he said it, it was like a thoracotomy. I was like, what part of the map are you from where they pronounce it like that? I just want to know. So he don't have the resources that he needs, so he can't do nothing for Octavio right now. Now, also on the plane were a couple. Their names were Lisa and Travis. Okay, so there were two couples. There was Dan and Amy, and Lisa and Travis. Okay, now Lisa and Travis, they not missing no meals, y'all. Okay. As a matter of fact, Travis I think he said he had a mild heart attack about 6 months ago. And so Lisa is very concerned for her man. She want to make sure that he got his nitroglycerin to keep his, you know, his blood pressure and all of that down, so we won't have no issues. And he's got enough for 6 days. Okay. Now, she checks on him. He says that he's okay. She goes to go see what's happening with Sonya, or she goes to the plane to go see it, if they can find some snacks or whatever. And when she gets there, Sonya is already there. She's already doing the things that Lisa was gonna do. Now, I don't know if Lisa was just trying to take them snacks for her and her boo or whatever, but Sonya was like, girl, we got 15 bottles of water. Okay. We got some fruit cups. We got some salad bowls, which Travis hates salad. But we got some salad bowls. We got a couple little Debbie cakes, and we got some chocolate. I think we should be good if we ration this out. And so Lisa was like, girl, why is you talking like this? They clearly, they're going to send some help soon enough. To me, y'all, this whole episode, Lisa was in denial. And I mean, that's probably like her coping mechanism. Okay. I would be hella shocked too, but I would also be kind of like on the other side of the spectrum where it's like, okay, what if they don't come within the next couple of days? What we gonna do to make sure that we got what we need until somebody come help us? But the way that Lisa was talking was like, girl, I don't even know why you talking like that, because they on their way. When the plane go down, it's supposed to send out an emergency location tracker or something like that. But with the way that the plane crashed, we're not even sure if that was even working because the GPS wasn't working. So who's to say that that was working? So we don't know if they coming or not. Obviously, if they don't come, we know they didn't get it. But it'll be too late by then, right? So they go around the circle. After Lisa and Sonya come back out, they go around the circle. They start to introduce themselves, while Octavio is over there thriving in pain. And like I said, we find out that Dan and Amy, they literally just got married like 5 months ago. It seems like they did like this rush wedding in Vegas, where they went to go elope, because her family dynamic, I don't think her family is too fond of Dan, but the way that they were interacting throughout this episode, it gave me mail order bride. It gave me girl 90 Day Fiance vibes. I'm finna take you up out of here, okay? We gonna get married. We gonna make it work. I promised you from the day that I first started talking to you that I was gonna take care of you, girl. And so I think later on in the episode, she had mentioned something about her dad. She wonders what her dad would think, or she really wanted to talk to her dad because of the situation and how stressful it was. And he had said something to the effect of he probably would want to talk to him too. And she was like, no, he would probably try to kill you. That's the type of dude he is. Okay. No, we don't need that bad blood. So Dan and her done been married for a hot minute, a hot second. Like I said, it's giving me mail order brides. She seems very unsure of her status and whether or not he's really gonna stick to his word of taking care of her. He seems very I don't want to say optimistic, but when she's thinking the worst, he's always trying to find the silver lining. Okay. She was just panicking. And I think Octavio or the stewardess was dead or something. The stewardess had died. And she was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? The plane has crashed. And she was like, I just can't look at it. He was like, well, at least we're alive. And she was like, yeah, all of us can't say that though. So they were going around the circle. And once they got finished, I'll stay on them for a second. Once they got finished talking, there was some tension based off the exchanges that had happened during the introduction of everybody. But she happened to hear something in the woods, like some twigs was crackling. And so she was looking over. She was like, "Did you hear that? Did you see that? It's somebody out there." See, that would have been my, oh, hell no. We finna get ready to go ahead and we finna move. We going somewhere else. We're not staying right here. So we also have Lisa and Travis. Like I said, they ain't missing no meals. They give me redneck vibes, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry if you feel differently. I don't like it. They give me bigotry. Like I can't. I don't like neither one of them. I don't. Um so they introduce themselves and they tell us that they're from Kansas. I think Kansas City, maybe. Some Kansas somewhere. I don't care. It don't matter. They're from somewhere there and they own a chain of hotels, right? And so they had been in Guatemala for vacation purposes. Okay, they want to celebrate their successes in their chain of motels. And so they had made the comment that if you got a MAGA sticker in your car on your bumper, they'll give you an additional 10% off. And so Kevin was like, seriously? And they was like, yeah. And then Lisa had mentioned something about them doing this since the 2020 election. And Travis was like, yeah, that election was stolen. So clearly we've got some different feelings here, differences in opinions, and that's okay. Okay. But don't do the most with it. You're doing too much. So, they've been married for quite some time. Like I said, she's very concerned about his health and his well-being, but he's got enough pills to get him through almost the whole week. Now, we go to Sonia. Sonia is there by her lonesome, okay? She's from England, and she, according to them, she acts like it. She don't really want to be friends, make nice with nobody, introduce herself, really just know that you know my name. Why I'm traveling, that's none of your business. And I don't intend to tell you either. So quit asking. That's basically what she said. So they left it there with her, right? But she's pretty, okay, she's been traveling since she was like 12 years old, y'all. So she knows a little bit about where they are and how far away they are from civilization. None of them have any type of cellular reception. They're at the base of the forest floor. But there is a mountaintop not too far away. Well, obviously it's further than what they expect, but from the camera's point of view, it doesn't seem that far away. Then we get Zach. I need to be keeping count. Zach. I'm gonna have to put my phone down for this one. He is an insurance adjuster. Okay. And so he says that he was just coming from a case that he had already investigated, that he had already reported or filed his report on, where they had stolen a whole bunch of gas and it was some shady shit happening. And so they were asking him, well, do you think that the people that you just recently reported, do you think that they had something to do with this? Is there a particular reason? Is there somebody that might be after you? Why our plane went down? And I thought it was funny that they only asked him but nobody else. Just because those two couples are together doesn't mean that they don't have shady shenanigans in their background. So he was like, no, I don't think nobody after me. So then Kevin goes, right? Kevin is, like I said, he's a former doctor. He was in Guatemala because he buys medical equipment from the cheap places where it don't really cost him that much, and he probably sell it for very high dollar everywhere else. Okay. So he was like, yeah, they got some good quality stuff down there, almost for the free. So I was down there. I got a couple of samples. I got a lot of samples actually of everything that I planned on selling. But because of what's going on with Octavio, we'll get to him in a minute. Okay. So then we go to Carlos. Carlos is, hold on, y'all. Lisa, Travis, Dan, Amy, Zach, Kevin, Octavio, Carlos, Sonia. Okay. So Carlos is the last one. Now, Carlos is very quiet. He keeps to himself. He's well, kind of reserved. He's Hispanic. He's of Hispanic descent. He's a luchador. Okay. So he gave them first name. They asked him what he do. He was like, "Oh, I'm a luchador." Why did Travis dumbass be like, "Okay, is that a last name?" No, idiot. He's a luchador. What do you mean? Have you what? You that ignorant to everybody else's culture? So Carlos had to first off, before he explained what a luchador was, y'all, he called him a true fatso. Because the way that he came off in the comments that he was throwing and the insults that he was throwing towards Carlos and his heritage, I would have been pissed too. So he called him a fatso in Spanish, right? And then he was like, you got your football, you got your boxing and this and that. You got Batman, Superman. A luchador is all of those in one. I was like, yes, come on, Carlos, give him that. Do y'all remember, if you a 90s baby, do you remember waking up on Saturdays where it was like that one Saturday morning where you would float between ABC and WB with the cartoons and stuff? And they had the one, what's it called? El Lucha? El Luchador? El Lucha. Something like that. Y'all, where it was the three kids and they were little baby luchadors. So cute. Anyway, so yes, he's a luchador, right? He's got his suitcase. It's really important to him. Like I said, everybody was looking at him kind of crazy because he damn near lost his life. He was willing to risk it all to try to go get this suitcase off the plane. And so things got a little bit heated between Kevin and Zach because Octavio was over there moaning and groaning in pain, right? And Amy was like, we need to go do something about that because if we're going to be here all night, I can't. Okay. I'm too, my humanity won't let me sit up here and have him thriving in pain while I'm trying to sleep. I just can't. So we need to figure that out. So everybody started looking at Kevin, and Zach was like, "Hey man, can you do something about that?" And so then Zach and Amy went over there and was trying to help him. And Kevin was like, "Man, why you doing this? Why you getting upset with me? Why you trying to consider yourself the leader?" And Zach was like, "No, I actually don't consider myself a leader. I'm just doing what I need to do to help us get through this situation. And besides, I don't want to ask you anything because when I asked you to do something the first time, you told me no." And so then Kevin feels like he's pitted in a corner and was like, "Oh, I guess," just huffing and puffing. And he was like, "Well, I don't really have everything that I need, but I'm going to need this, and this." So he needed some boiling water. He needed some type of antiseptic to sterilize the site so he could cut it open, right? Well, we got some liquor. We got some bottled water. We can do this. So he ends up getting a knife from Travis and he cuts him open, okay? He releases all of that excess air out of him and he sews him back shut. He sutures him up. And so after he gets done, they were like, "Man, you did a really good job." And he was like, "Yeah, I did, considering the fact that I've never done anything like this before in his medical profession at all." Sir, sure, you're a medical doctor, but what type of medical doctor are you? Are you a medical doctor? Or do you just know the jargon? So, questions that need answers, right? So he's suturing him up. He's got a. Why are you a former doctor? Because to be honest, y'all, Kevin don't look that old. Did you lose your license? Why are you not practicing anymore? And it could be a completely innocent explanation. I'm just wondering. You've never done a thoracotomy before? Okay. So he sutures him up and he was like, "Now, I told y'all that I didn't want to do it, but since I did it, I gave y'all the tiny fine print that this man may die of sepsis and infection, this, that, and the third, because of the conditions that we're in. I just want y'all to know the risks that are involved. And so they was like, okay, well, at least you did a good job. You helped them. Thank you. That's all we needed. That's all we asked for. So later on, they try to figure out what the sleeping arrangements are going to be. And so Amy was like, no. No, Dan. Dan was like, no, I'm not. I'm not sleeping on nobody's ground. Okay? There are snakes here. There are spiders here. And they was like, okay, well, you can go sleep on the plane now. We don't think that that's too safe because of what happened earlier. But I mean, if you want to, go right ahead. And so him and Amy go to sleep in the plane, right? While everybody else is grabbing blankets and this, that, and the third. And they're hitting the floor. Now, everybody goes to sleep. And I thought the way that they did this. Now, before, I'm sorry, let me backtrack real quick. Before they went to sleep again, while Dan and Dan and Amy were on the plane and they were talking about her father and how much their relationship is not what it needs to be or the type of man that she wants him to be, whatever. She looks out one of the plane windows and she sees movement again. This is the second time she done seen something. And she was like, wait a minute, did you see that? Somebody's out there. And he was like, no, baby, what are you talking about? I don't see anything. Now all we saw was a snake. We didn't see nobody. I was like, what's happening here? So then everybody goes to sleep, right? The way that they shot this scene, oh my gosh, there was a show that shot the scene kind of reminiscent of this particular scene, but I can't remember what show it was. No Good Deeds on Netflix. The way that they shot those scenes and like started one place and then just kind of like carried it up and through somewhere else. I love the way that cinematography rolled, but then also this scene kind of reminded me of Bad Boys 4. Okay. Um, when they were doing their big fight scene, right? So it's dark outside. Everybody's sleeping. It's unassuming. And we see the camera start to pan around everybody. Okay. Everybody is asleep. Then we even go in the plane and Amy is asleep, but Dan is looking out the window. And the way that he looked, y'all, I didn't like it. He looked suspicious. And so then we go a little bit further. And I told y'all I was watching it at work, y'all. So the glare on my phone, I had turned my brightness up, but it was just, I just couldn't see because it was so damn dark. The scene was shot so dark. So we go further into the woods, right? And we see Carlos. Carlos is doing pull ups in the woods in the middle of the night. That speaks to how focused he is. I'm going to get through this scene and I'm going to shoot back because I forgot about something. So we see somebody walking through the woods. They're in like all black, I presume, or really dark clothing. We don't see their face. We don't really see their build, but we see their hands cover Octavio's face. They have something that covers his face, so they smother him to death. So the next morning, when they wake up, y'all, Octavio is dead, like blue in the face. And so Kevin, everybody's upset. Kevin's disappointed. He was like, man, damn it, how did this happen? He didn't show any signs of infection, no sepsis, no nothing. So they're thinking that he died from the procedure that happened yesterday that went left, right? Not suspecting that somebody took him out. I was like, for an infection to happen that fast, that what type of infection is that? But again, that may speak to him not being a practicing doctor anymore, especially if Octavio didn't really have any medical conditions prior to this. But you fixed the problem, the main problem. So he's gone. They're thinking that it's because he just got sick, and so Kevin's coming down on himself. He was like, "Yeah, you're right. I should have stayed with him because initially he was trying to ask everybody else what they were doing." And I was like, sir, that's your patient. You should have stayed with him." So again, they start to talk about, if they're gonna be able to get out of there, um, the emergency location tracker and where that is, and where they are in relation to the closest area of civilization. Like I said, they're far away. Okay. And that's all I remember about the main parts. I do want to take y'all back to a quick second where Carlos had walked off. Like I said, there was some tension in the circle of introduction of characters. So he walked away from it, right? Because he had gotten disrespected. But when he walked away, Lisa and Travis were talking amongst themselves, and she was like, I wonder what he's got in that suitcase. Where do you think Mr. Luchador's going? I was like, bitch, he probably going to go pee. What do you mean? Cut it out. He can't go pee in peace. So while he was gone, she had the audacity to go over there and try to open up his suitcase, y'all, to see what was in it, but it was locked. And I bet you 9 out of 10 times, there's nothing in there besides like his luchador wrestling stuff. But while he was going back and forth with Travis, after he put him up on game what a luchador was, he was like, "Yeah, I got a really big match in 3 days that I'm supposed to be traveling for. That's where I was headed to." And so Travis was like, "Well, I hope you win." And he was like, "Oh, don't worry, I am. I will. That's it, sir. Period." So that's when he got up and walked away. And she went to go try to see what was in the suitcase. Like I said, I don't think there's anything in there aside from what's supposed to be in there in preparation for his match, but everybody is a suspect for now. But I don't think Carlos has anything to do with it. I don't. My eye right now is either on Dan or Amy. Sonya is a red herring because she's too mysterious. Now, maybe somebody might be after her, but why would they take down the whole plane? I don't know, y'all. I don't know. So then they're stranded for now. They're just going to have to see what happens over the next couple of days. We go back to the prison, okay? And the officers are now in this guy's office. So I guess one of them maybe might have been the warden, and the other just might be like a prison guard or something like that. So they start talking, and one of the guys comes in and says, "Hey, I found this on the plane. It's a bag full of passports. It's 10 passports. 10, okay?" And then they flip through them, but we don't see like any pictures or anything like that. But they count them out, 10 passports. And so he was like, "Okay, what are you worried about?" And so he was like, "Hey, bro, we found 9 bodies, but it's 10 passports, which means somebody is missing. And we don't know who it is just yet, but the bodies are down in the morgue. So literally all they have to do is go match the passports up to the bodies down in the morgue, but that's the mystery that they're going to have for us to figure out. So I hope they let us do that. But I really enjoyed this first episode. And so as the warden is like, "Okay, who's missing?" We go down to the morgue and you see all of the bodies lined up on opposite sides of the aisle, and they start to count. They go in numerical sequence until we get to 9. And that's the way that episode ended, y'all. Really good first introduction. Now, I'm sure I missed a whole bunch of stuff, right? It could just be me. I told y'all I was watching this while I was at work, and I had to go back a couple of times. I couldn't really pay attention like I wanted to, but I'm intrigued. Y'all let me know who y'all find suspicious. Like I said, you can find us on MGM Grand or however you can watch it. Go watch it. Do yourself that service, okay? Let me know who you think is going to make it to the end. First off, based off the way that some of those bodies were, I can tell y'all now, Travis ain't make it. Okay, Travis ain't make it, and I don't think Lisa made it either. So we'll see. You can reach me at Me and You TV Reviews on Facebook and on Instagram. You can also reach me at My TV Reviews Podcast without the S on the end at gmail.com. I love y'all, okay? I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. That's all I have for now, y'all. So until we meet over the airwaves again, I am Mo, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.